Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Annie Lee. I'm one of Jinx's cousins from the U.S. I live in Maryland. I grew up in New Jersey, and we had seen pictures of our family in Vancouver. But in those days, everybody worked. We weren't, we had limited funds and things like that, and we thought we'd never, ever meet our relatives in Vancouver. But things changed when my brother, George, was in one of the pictures that you saw on the slide, on the video, and my mother, and separately and both together, came to Vancouver and got to unite with my mother's sister and met her children. And at that time, the family was much smaller in Vancouver. And over the years, it's like grown exponentially. There's like so many family here. Because our family on the East Coast was, we didn't have a lot of close relatives there. And the closest sister my mom had was in Montreal. And at that time, my mom and dad had a laundry, and they worked very hard. And so there's very little time or money to travel. But after my parents retired in '81, then my mom started to travel, and she certainly visited all of her sisters. And I was her travel buddy. I would go with her to visit her sisters in Montreal, and then come here to Vancouver. But my very first all-by-myself visit to Vancouver was in 1977. And it was pretty much a life-changing event for me, because I never really got to know any of my relatives really closely, but this was the start. So when I came, it was originally first by plane all the way, but then there was an Air Canada strike, so then I had to stop in Seattle and take the Greyhound bus all the way to Vancouver from there. And then Jinx's mom, IE, and Jinx met me at the bus terminal, but they really didn't know they saw a picture of me, but they didn't actually know who I was, and there were a lot of Asian girls on the bus, and so they had to keep on waiting, and then IE would say, "I-N," and then all the girls would shake their heads. So I was at the end of the bus, and so as I got closer to the end, I was probably the last person to exit, and then they finally said, "I-N," and then, so then they gave me a big hug and whisked me away back to Winnetta Place, where I had a wonderful week of hospitality from the family, getting to know Jinx and Sheila, Jerry, and Terry. It was actually Sheila and Michael's job. Michael was a friend at that time, and Jinx, to take me around Vancouver, show me all the sights, which were beautiful. And it was that tour that sort of made me fall in love with the city of Vancouver. But when it was Jinx's turn actually to take me around, it was kind of a sweet time, because he was, always, and you hear it in all the stories that everybody's told so far about his wonderful smile, his warmth and personality, and just interest in you in general, and felt this strong connection between him and me. And by the time I left Vancouver after that week, I was really like this bond between I and Jinx, and his family and Vancouver kind of just made its mark in my heart. This bond that we had continued to grow over 47 years, because we were back and forth. Either we were coming or he was coming to the East. And he actually celebrated important occasions with our family by coming to my wedding, which you saw on the video, in 1980. And then recently, in 2011, when my daughter got married, he and Selena came out to celebrate with us for our daughter's happiness. We love Jinx so much that we actually included Jinx in our passwords and some of our pins. We were very fortunate to be able to travel one time, with Jinx and Selena overseas. In 2019, when we went to Southeast Asia and visited Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. And this was his last overseas trip, and it was a big milestone for him. And as Jinx's medical problems progressed, and so did the mountains of medicines he had to take, he had more physical limitations. Jinx didn't stop fighting, and he tried to always be hopeful and tried to keep up a sense of humor. His village, which is all of you guys here, his family, Selena, who is the love of his life, Christine Graham, who he loved dearly, really helped him find peace at the end. We are here to celebrate today Jinx's life, and each of us will remember different things, but I will remember most Jinx's sweet temperament, his wonderful smile that seemed to go from ear to ear, his warm sense of humor, his loyalty and integrity, his respect for and acceptance of folks from all cultures and walks of life. And his spirit will stay in my heart forever. I just want to tell you one funny story which might make you smile. Last year we came after Jinx had come out of the hospital for a few days. Graham had noticed that Jinx's van had been moved. Jinx was the only one home. After some questioning, Jinx admitted that he didn't hear that he had been grounded, so that he had gone out to his favorite store to buy a lottery ticket for the mega jackpot that was being played that day, because he was hoping he was going to win. So when you think of Jinx, when you hear that there's a big mega jackpot out there, you go out and buy a ticket or two, and Jinx may help you win that lottery. Thank you.